Hey everybody, this is Grabbing the Brisket. We're out here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo World Championship BBQ Cook-Off 2023. As always, I mean, it is so packed out here. You know what I mean? It's like This is an event that if nobody has really kind of experienced it, you at least have to experience it once.
100%. This is. I mean, like when we went to Kansas City Royal, right, and we experienced that phenomenal cook-off. And that is like this huge mega cook-off they put on across the United States, right? But when you get here, right, you get to this show right here. This is not, we're going to start up on a Friday, and on Saturday, this whole place clears out. No. This thing goes all the way through Saturday. Mm-hmm. And it's a party from Wednesday all the way on, right?
Yeah.
So this is like 4 days of just nonstop barbecue, 4 days of nonstop drinking, and then friendships, right?
Right.
And drinking, too.
And drinking.
Yeah, and drinking.
And it's just not a party. There's a competition going on.
Right.
And today we're lucky enough to be joined with Janice from SmellaQue Barbecue. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know today's going to be hectic. Well, this whole weekend's going to be hectic for you as far as, but you're no new to cooking competition barbecue. Can you talk a little bit about how you got into doing competition barbecue and what you're up to these days?
Yeah, for sure. So usually I cook with my husband, Russell. We're the SmellaQue team. Fortunately or unfortunately, our last name is Smella, so we had to do something with it, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Love it.
But we actually started, our barbecue story started in Houston, actually, in Texas. We ate ourselves silly over a weekend. We had a weekend where we did the top 5 Texas monthly barbecue joints.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, there wasn't a lot of barbecue restaurants in Houston that were really good. So we ended up traveling and meeting and seeing all the pits that were being made in Houston. And lo and behold, we ended up going home with one.
There it is.
We got a pit maker vault.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And
Another guys.
Yeah, and had it delivered in the middle of winter, because that's like clearly the ideal time to get a smoker in Canada.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like minus 20 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. It's in about the same range.
Cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fit. We couldn't take it to the backyard where we planned it, so we had to put it into our garage, just barely.
Nice.
And really had to figure out how to learn to cook with it, because nobody in Canada had that pit, or really any pits. It's not a thing in Canada.
Right.
So anyways, we watched a lot of YouTube videos, and all the YouTube videos was of guys in Texas cooking on the vault. And they were all competition cooks, and so that's kind of the story of how we got into it. And then my husband was like, I was like, how are we going to learn? And he's like, well, we'll just enter a barbecue contest. I was like, oh yeah, totally logical.
Trial by fire, right?
yeah, exactly.
Love it.
So, we did really well in our first couple competitions. We also got our butts handed to us.
Yeah.
That's when you really learn you don't know anything. And just kept cooking. And the greatest story is that it's come full circle that we get to come here now and cook. We've been the top cook in Canada for a couple years now, which has been a real blessing, which has enabled us to come down and cook for Canada in the International Village. But this is the pinnacle of our barbecue cooking year for sure.
Awesome.
Without a doubt. Yeah. So, let me ask you a question. Like, so you're the top barbecue team in Canada right now. What do you think your secret is to y'all's success?
Just cook more. It really is. Like, I think that we have like a muscle memory now of when it's tender, when it's ready.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No, it's not. I mean, but it's like obviously being consistent, right? I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people, if you show up and do it once every 6 months, it's hard to be consistent when you're not. If you're in it to win it, right, and you're practicing and you're doing comp cooks at your house and everything else, that's how you like get really good. But y'all have something. I mean, obviously, I don't want your secrets, right? Unless you want to share them.
Go ahead and
Yes,
tell us all your secrets.
But is there something you think that's what sets y'all apart? So much so.
I don't know. I think it's just like, I think there is something in that, like when you love it, you put your heart into it and it shows.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that it's like a secret, like that, it's a secret spice or it's a secret sauce or that kind of thing. It's just that like you put extra attention into it.
Right.
Is there like a flavor profile in Canada or where you're from? Is it Texas obviously has its regional flavors, and you go to Kansas City, you go to some of these other major hotspots for barbecue, and they all have their distinct flavor profiles. Is there anything different up in Canada?
It's different in that there's no barbecue baseline. When we started cooking, I think there was one barbecue restaurant in the whole city, maybe even in the whole province. So we really try to cook something very universal. And then what I would say is that there's very little heat that you would have. And so when I come down to Texas to cook, I actually use local Texas products because that's what people are used to here.
Right.
So there's like a difference between the cook that I would do in Canada versus the cook that I would do here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to go back to it, I love your answer, by the way, about as far as like putting yourself into your food, which I do believe. I believe that is probably a secret that a lot of people don't really talk about. I mean, they don't realize what it is. But I know that when I'm cooking at home or whatever I'm doing, if I'm feeling it, like I get so many people saying, "Oh my God, I don't know what you've done, but this is the greatest," right? And when I'm just trying to put it together and get it out there, nobody says anything, right? And it could be the same dish. So I do feel like when you put yourself into it, you're more apt to go, you know what? I think I'm gonna chop a little fresh garlic for this. I'm gonna go a little extra. I'm gonna add my own little nuance to something. But I think you're exactly right. I think that's the secret sauce.
Yeah. And we all have our own, right?
That's right. That is right. That's badass.
Yeah. I mean, it's hand in hand with what you said about how much you're cooking. And if you're loving it, you're probably cooking a lot more. How many competitions do you guys probably do a year?
It depends. So I think as a Canadian team, by far, we travel the most. So I've been in Texas. This will be my third cook this year in Texas.
Nice.
And it's minus 20 with a foot of snow at home, so nobody is cooking at home. So I probably average, like between my husband and I, we probably average between 10 to 15 cooks a year. But we have to go far and wide because there's no, we have very limited choices in terms of where we're going to be cooking.
Right. No, that makes sense, right?
No sanctioning body up there in Canada?
No, we tend to cook under KCBS, the Kansas City Barbecue Society. That's just what's been running up there. But that's also like the fun part for me is to be here to cook something completely different. To do half chickens, that doesn't happen. To have meat tagged, that doesn't happen.
Right.
To be supervised for,
everything.
when you're boxing and everything, that is not something that happens. And so for me, I think it's really fun to cook out of your element and to change it up because it's still the same food. It's just a little bit, it makes it interesting.
Yeah, right. That's kind of how me and Jan learned when we started doing like local competitions, and it really wasn't sanctioned by anybody at that particular time. And they would tag meats, and it's like, and then we got into doing like the ICBA and the other competition. They don't really do it, but you go to some of these bigger cook-offs like Houston or Austin that come around, and they actually throw a metal tag into your meat just to make sure you're not. I wouldn't say cheating or anything, but they're trying to keep everything on the same playing field.
Level playing field.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, so we're kind of used to that. And then when they would come to your site, they would check the tag, and then they would sit there and watch you cut it. And you'd cut it, put it in a box, and once you start cutting and slicing and put it in a box, they'll walk off and go to the next team or whatever. But just that, it's very nerve-wracking, just having somebody over your shoulder, like you've done this 500, 1,000 times, but having that person just right over your shoulder, you're like, don't mess up, please don't mess up.
So you're right, but the one thing I'm always comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it sounds crazy, right? And so when I feel uncomfortable, my natural thing is to make somebody else, like who's standing around me, make them feel comfortable. That way I will feel comfortable, right? So usually if I'm going to cut, I'll just slide over a piece of brisket to them and I'll let them try it, right? And then now they're worried, now they're eating brisket and they're not really worried about like hey, you can't put that there. You're the more apt. I'm trying to cheat or anything. I'm just
A little.
just relax a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Get off my shoulder, eat some brisket, let me do what I'm fixing to do. But I think that's that's always been my thing. I'm going to talk them up for a second. I want to, look them in the eyes and go, hey, here, try that real quick. What do you think of that? And then whole time, then once they start chewing, I can just get in the zone at that point. I can just concentrate on what I want to concentrate on, not have to worry about who's looking at me or who's thinking, oh, I wouldn't do that, right? Or there's somebody judging you, and they're not, right? But you feel that way, right? So.
But I also think that that's one of the things inherent of what barbecue's about is that it's about feeding people and
That's right.
it's the family and it's the camaraderie that comes out of it. And so by feeding your contest supervisor, you're bringing them in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you ever had a mishap or some type of? We always
Barbecue
talk about
fail,
it. We always
right?
talk about it on the show. We'll talk about barbecue fails, and obviously you have a lot of barbecue wins. But any mishaps? And just last year when we cooked Austin, they have a rule where when you slice brisket, you have to provide a chunk of the meat with the tag still in it in your box.
Oh,
So
cool.
you turn it in. So we got to slice in. Of course, everything gets a little
Box
hectic.
looks beautiful.
Yeah, everything was, we're look at the clock. I mean, it's ticking away. We got to go. And so we boxed it up. Everything looked beautiful. I think John ran it to the judging tent, and I'm sitting there slicing up brisket for just people that are around just wanting to try it. And I took a bite of the brisket, and I looked down, and I saw the big chunk of brisket with the tag still sitting in it. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, they just went, we're going to get disqualified. They're going to, and so I scooped it up, and I'm running like a wild man through this cook-off trying to find them. And then John, he's running back the other way. We go
You miss
around the
each other.
tent, miss each other.
Miss each other.
And then I get there, I'm like, I open up the back of the judging tent. I'm like, shit, where are we turning in? I wasn't even part of that meeting where the turn-in was. I knew it was that tent, and I was like, whoop, shit, this is not it right here. And so I'm walking back, and I see John, thank goodness, and we were able to put it in the box and go on down the road. But it's like, you don't realize how, I guess, nerve-wracking it is.
Stressful it can be.
Stressful because you're watching a clock, and everything is timed down to a minute, so to speak.
That's right. It's like, so Mike Tyson's famous line, right? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right? So that's what it is. Like, we have a plan, and we're very timetable oriented, right? We know exactly how long this takes, and we move through it very methodically, right? Until you get punched in the mouth, and then everybody goes crazy. And you're like, just calm the F down a little bit, just whatever. So, what do you have for us?
It was actually very recent. I was at the San Antonio Rodeo.
Okay.
And like I said, I usually cook with my husband. This one was a solo cook. This week is going to be a solo cook, so I'm going to hopefully learn from my experience. But turn-ins are at 10:30, and there's a 10-minute window before, 10 minutes after. I guess it was under the Lone Star sanctioning board, which is more than what I'm used to because it's usually 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after.
Yep.
Okay. But turn-ins for chicken was at 10:30, and in KCBS, chicken goes in on the hour. And so I was wrapping my ribs. The chicken was off early, so I had it resting. I was ready to go, and then I was like, oh, time to put, sauce my chicken, finish it up, put it in the box. So I had my chicken. I was laying it out, and I was saucing it. And someone came by, and they said, oh, we didn't see you put your chicken in. And I said, yeah, because it goes in on the hour. And they said, no, it goes in at 10:30. It was 10:40 on the dot.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, and it was a good chicken, of course.
Yeah.
And so I was like, so I totally missed the turn-in. And so that, like you were talking about, you have a method and you have a time cycle. And usually when I'm with Russell, he's the one that is like, it's X, Y o'clock. Did you do this? Did you do this? Have you checked it?
Yeah.
And I'm usually like, don't bother me. It's good. But I could have totally used him. So I'll be using a ton of alarms this weekend.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody does that once. I don't know if we've done that or
At
not,
least
but
once.
missing a turn in, I feel like that happens more than you'd think.
So some cook-offs, they give you different boxes for different turn-ins. So we turned in one protein in the wrong box.
No.
So we had to run, sprint all the way back, and we're in the middle of this aisle, and middle of the street like this, right? And we're pulling food out of one box into another box right in front of everybody, and they're walking around like, "Good luck, man!" Right? Hey, good luck. We got second in brisket in that cook-off, by the way. So, I mean, like,
if you want to try that tactic,
hey, we had fifth in chicken, right? Second in brisket, fifth in chicken. Like, we're hitting pretty right. You know what I mean? And again, we're still the guys in the middle of the aisle doing this. Go, run, and literally sprinting to get back. Right, but you do what you got to do.
The most stressful thing for me is like walking up there with the box, because you're like, don't trip, don't
fall,
don't drop
trip.
this.
Yeah. We've seen somebody fall before.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully nobody takes you out on your walk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or I like to mess with people after we've turned in, like as I'm walking back. If I'm taking the box up there, like you missed it, man. You missed the window, and some people will turn around.
Like,
well, then I tell them, like, no, I'm just kidding with you,
an asshole.
Right, because they're not stressed out, right? Yeah.
I'm like, hey, man, you missed it. Turn it over.
Right.
I'm the angry one.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, you and your husband can cook together. I'm assuming y'all compete against each other. As far as like when you're at home, right? So, who's winning? Who against each other?
We actually don't compete against each other. We've only cooked against each other once.
Okay.
Officially. So as separate teams.
Yeah.
But usually, like, we really do cook together. So when we were running the vault, he ran the pit, and then I did the seasoning, and I slowly took over the trimming.
Yeah.
And then we switched to cooking on gateway drums. And that was like a mentality shift, because you go from like low and slow to hot and fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I remember when we first started converting, because Russell was like, I don't believe it. I don't think you can put out the same quality of like cook and meat and good food that you can with a vault. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, the gateway guys are crushing it on the out on the circuit.
Yep.
So for an entire season, we actually cooked against each other, like within our same tent. And so he would cook a brisket, I would cook a brisket. He'd cook ribs, I'd cook ribs. And then we were basically, it was getting really expensive.
Yeah.
When you're cooking like that much meat, and we would, when we would put them in the box, we would actually like go side by side to decide which one was actually going to go into the judges. And it was interchangeable. Sometimes it would be what was cooked on the drums, sometimes it was what was on the vault, and then eventually it didn't matter. We were winning with both, and we didn't even know which one went into the box anymore. And so you can't tell necessarily, but I'm 5 foot, period.
Right.
And I can't push the vault to save my life. Like, to even move it onto the truck, I'm basically really useless. So the drums, however, I can totally drag around. And so I was like, we are going to drums because it's something that I can move. And then it just changed the cook. We stopped cooking low and slow. We went hot and fast. And he was slowly starting to cook hotter and faster on the vault. So we kind of got to the same spot, which it was like a very long experiment. But it proves to you that you can do the same thing on different pits. Mm-hmm. You can change your pit, or you can change your cook, and still come out with a great product.
That's right. It's like really about learning the way the pit cooks, right?
Yeah.
And not fighting the pit.
And
I think a lot of people fight the pit. They want that pit to conform in their cooking style, and some pits just can't do it. And it's going to cook the way it wants to cook, and they're built to cook a certain way, you know?
That's right.
It's learning that little nuance or whatever. So that's badass. Yeah. I'm sorry it cost a lot of money, but I'm glad you got there.
Well, it makes for a good story afterwards.
It does.
And I think the other teams thought it was amusing. They're like, those two are cooking against each other again.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny.
So today you have, I believe we were talking a little bit earlier, so today you have the Dutch oven and you have the open category.
That's right.
Do you have anything big planned or is it a secret?
No, there's no secret. I'm going to do a steak and shrimp bite.
Okay.
And then I'm making a pineapple cream cake.
Okay.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
In the Dutch oven?
In the Dutch oven, yep. And then just to make it a little different, I'm going to put on some rib candy, the pineapple habanero, to give it a little kick. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know what the judges are going to like. Like,
it's always a crapshoot for us too when we try to do opens, and it's always we try to do a surf and turf type deal. I know Austin last year we had a guy from Aaron Leslie from Texas Oil Dust. He did just a giant beef rib on some type of
risotto or something.
Risotto. He ended up like popping like very high in the list. But yeah, you never know. Like in the rib candy, I mean that stuff's awesome. I mean it is.
Oh yeah.
We went to there's a Killen's BBQ, and he has a Killen's Steakhouse here in Houston, and they offer these. It's a pork belly, I guess, burnt in style. They call it, they make it a little bit more fancier. It was like in some type of like cherry, pineapple reduction sauce, whatever they called it. And I'm like, I ordered it an appetizer. And I was like, man, this is really good. I like this. And I was like, what? I asked my brother-in-law because he works there. I was like, what's the sauce that you guys using that? He's like, it's actually cherry apple rib candy.
You're like
cherry apple habanero rib candy. I was like, that makes sense.
Okay, we used that already.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. And you have it in your rib kit. Oh, what a surprise!
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite protein that you like to cook, or a least favorite? Or is it?
I think I'm interchangeable now. I've been fortunate to cook at the Houston Rodeo a couple years now. And so, but it hasn't changed. The first year we got invited, I cooked chicken every week for 3 months. Every weekend was chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Half chickens.
Yep.
And then the good and the bad is that ever since then, every December, January, that's when the half chicken practice comes out. So my kids are less excited about having half chickens. But I feel like I've got it dialed in now, so I'm happy with where that's at. But yeah. It's definitely different. I think like that's what other people don't realize, like outside of Texas, is it is super hard to get a half chicken cooked well in the breast meat, right? You don't want to serve raw chicken,
right?
But then also have it like cooked properly in the dark meat.
That's right.
And so it's and I guess actually it's the opposite. You don't want your breast meat to be dry.
Right.
Nobody likes dry chicken.
You don't want to, because the dark meat will hold the temperature, and it's going to hold the moisture, right? But it's always the breast that you cut into it, and it's like sawdust. And you're like, oh, I just dried this thing out, right?
Yeah.
So.
And you're cooking them together, right? On the same pit. So like how to manage that temperature difference and that cook difference.
Yeah.
It's an art.
It is, and I think obviously. So my favorite is on the on the Weber. I love cooking the half chickens on a 22-inch grill Weber. All the coals on one side, the two halves on the other side, and then you cook with the breast facing the coals, and then just a little bit, and then you rotate it for the dark meat towards the coals, and the breast on the other side kind of gets shielded. But I just like the shape of the parabolic shape for the Weber, how it just kind of distributes the heat evenly. I just like the way it does it, and we've used, like, obviously we use the offset smokers, we use pellet smokers, drum smokers. I mean, we use everything in our arsenal. Sometimes with the drum smokers, everything coming from the bottom, it's just hard to really figure out, like, I don't know. I have a tough time with that. I'm still working with mine. So
I've done the opposite.
Okay.
Everybody here was using like a grill or a PK.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. We bought a kettle grill just so I could practice chicken, and after a couple months I was like, I'm done. I don't even like the kettle grill. Like for the longest time, I think because our success with chicken was like so poor.
Yeah.
And so I actually switched it to the drum, and I figured it out on the drum, and so I'm different, I guess, from the other cooks, but I figured out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, right? You said before, you got to figure out your pit. You got to really figure out how your cook goes into that, because the crazy thing is, like, there's I think 250 teams on this property today.
Yep.
They're all going to put in the same meats, right? Mm-hmm. Chicken, ribs, brisket. But even if you have the same smoker, everyone has their own flair, their own style, the way that it works for them. And so you can cook, you can have somebody else's recipe, or you can have someone else's process, but like what you do is going to be different than what somebody else does. And I think that's what makes it really interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
So we've been going through a kind of a rib series the past few weeks. Maybe you have not a secret, a pro tip that you could share for ribs?
A pro tip.
I think we just talked about, so we got into selecting ribs, and we got into the trimming portion of the ribs, and I don't think we haven't really got into doing the seasonings and that type of stuff. But yeah, anything from do you have a specific rib brand or manufacturer, I don't know what you call it, meat brand that you use for ribs, or is it just?
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay.
I think like the one thing, I guess I don't know if it's a pro tip, but because we travel far and wide, like so we'll travel across Canada to cook, and then into the northern U.S. So sometimes Washington, Montana. That's probably as far as we go, and then we'll fly down to come to Texas or the southern U.S. to cook, and you get what you get. Like, and so if anything, like what it's showing me is it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You just you got to cook the best that you can. So maybe it's demystified.
Yeah,
it's a not pro tip.
I think that's. I mean, I think people get caught up in that. Everybody gets caught up in like, oh, you have to use this
Smithfield
Capote or type of pork. You have to use it. Only get this type of brisket from this Snake River Farms, right? And we're going to order, our Wagyu from there or whatever else, right? And I think people get caught up in the semantics of just this is the only way it can be done. And you start looking around, you're like, well, they just won by going to HEB. Like, I don't know why it was that big of a deal. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Why'd I have to spend $40 on a rack?
Exactly, right?
Right.
I got 2 for $20 at HEB. I mean, I think, and also we had Mo Cason on, and one of the things that he had said was knowing the region you're in, right? So when he goes to West Texas, he's maybe not going to just cook with post oak, right? He may bring some mesquite with him and cook with mesquite and whatever else out there. And the same thing, you're coming down here in this area, like, well, I'm going to use the flavor profiles that's in this area, And don't not get sidetracked, because you did come down here and you had like the Texas Monthly. You did the 5 restaurants. What was the best one?
Oh, okay. So Russell and I differed. He really likes Snow's.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Louis Mueller's.
Oh, okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And they are different.
Yeah, they are. They're very different. Yeah.
Yeah. So the good and the bad is that now when we visit, then we have to go to both, right?
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's really hard.
Yeah. Was it just all around, or was it more specifically like brisket, ribs?
I think it was all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think does he use more pepper? Is it a more pepper based on his brisket, or am I thinking of a different?
Yeah, he's very salt and pepper.
Okay.
And then they've also, I think what they used to be famous for is their beef ribs.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, until we went there, I didn't know that I didn't have a beef rib before. I was like, why is it 4 pounds?
Right. What the
What do
hell
you
is
guys
this?
do with your cows down here?
Right. I love that.
That is one of the differences. Like cooking in Canada, compared to the agricultural products down here. Most of our chicken is grain fed, so I didn't recognize chicken down here. I was like, why is it so yellow?
Yeah.
Like, is there something wrong with the chicken?
Something's wrong with this Texas chicken.
Yeah. But in Canada, all of our chicken's grain fed, so it's very white. So there's like some things that like I've gotten used to learning the differences. Largely the size, but that goes with everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Apparently, they keep saying, I don't know. I don't know. 4-pound beef ribs, I guess, right?
Yeah.
How does it work when you come down here? Because you're flying down here with bringing a pit or a smoker. Do they provide here at Qston a smoker for you to cook with, or?
I have some really good friends. So,
okay, I was going to say, or do you have some friends that can loan you some stuff?
Yeah, so Joey Machado from Texas Original Charcoal and Texas Original Pits has always been really good to me, so he's always helped me out with gear. And then, of course, he's got the charcoal as well, and I've been using that at home. So it's nice to have some consistency with, like, the pits that you're using, but I'm pretty versatile, I think. You just... like, especially when you travel, I think, and that's what I like, is I like, changing it up, doing something different. Sometimes I'll cook on an offset, and I've cooked on, I think, every kind of pit there is. pellet or anything. And so once you kind of figure out the pit, and sometimes you have to figure it out on the spot, it's just a normal cook. But I do bring down a Cambro and then like spice rubs and some sauces as a base, and then I tweak it from there. So I'll go tasting restaurants or other people's food. You can kind of get, like, I see subtle differences. So in Canada, I would say, I told you we don't have a lot of heat, but I would say that, like, we also, things tend not to be as sweet or as salty. And so when I come here, like, that's something I have to, like, recognize that I have to cook. I have an American cook.
Okay. You have to Americanize your more salt, more sweet, right?
Yeah,
Go
more
up a little-
flavor.
yeah. What was the cook? It's like, is it Emerald?
Yeah, bam.
Bam! Pinch of salt. Bam!
That's right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm moving forward, looking forward, what do you guys have planned for the future? I mean, is there anything that works for you guys? Or just more competitions?
Just more competitions.
Okay.
We just really like to cook. So I'll be back here in March. There's a cook in Beeville. And I'll cook that one. And then I think I'm going to be home for a while. Eventually I need to see my family.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll be good. And then we'll do some, we take our kids with us when we're on the circuit. So it's a family cook. And so we'll hit up the Canadian side, and then hopefully we'll come back down south, maybe for the Royal or maybe for the Jack. We'll have to see how we do this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the camaraderie of the people here and the friends that you meet in this barbecue game, man, it's the best. Like, everybody is so nice and everybody's so genuine.
Yes.
And they will help you out. And we've been at competitions where we've competing against each other, and you'd run out of something. You're like, hey, I'm out of this right here. You think I could borrow? And they're like, sure, here you go. They'll literally, like the phrase, they'll take their shirt off their back for you.
Yeah. That happened to me this morning. I realized that I didn't bring any cutting boards, and I was like, well, that's going to be a problem for trimming out. And Chris Schaefer from Heavy Smoke on Champions Row, like, he gave me a stack, and he's like, you're good. I was like, thank you. You know, like, it's something really basic, but I think, like, it goes around too, right? So we would do that for anyone else that needed any care.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Unless it's time to turn in, and you're like, you're on your own. Time to go. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Again, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk barbecue. It's one of the deals, like, that's why we kind of created this podcast, just to get people like yourself and just to get around and just talk barbecue and just share tips and stories and tricks. And also, I think we'd like to drink a little beer too as well. So
Never hurts.
It never hurts.
It happens.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We appreciate it.
Good luck. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Good
We'll
luck.
be rooting for you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you. Yeah.
If folks want to find you online, or you want to plug your social medias or your websites or whatnot.
Sure. I'm on Instagram, Janice _ SmellaQue, QUE. And then have a website for some of the wild and wacky recipes I was trying out during COVID. So that's SmellaQue.com. So, you know, if you ever needed a miso chocolate cauliflower dish,
Yeah.
it's on there.
I was thinking about that.
Let's go.
Just asking
All right.
about that.
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Yeah. Badass. Hey, good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, we are here again at the 2023 World Champion BBQ, Houston, Texas. It is going down, and we're lucky enough to be invited to sit in Qston's tent. I don't know if we're lucky. Maybe we are the good luck. I don't know. We were here last year with them.
And he kicked the shit out of everybody.
Reserve Grand.
Go Metro Reserve.
Go Metro Reserve.
Love that.
Right? Which, I mean, maybe it had a part in what we're fixing to do right now, but I think this is Alex Castro with Qston is joining us right now. And before we go any further, we got to do the blessing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the guys at 8th Wonder Distillery, Mark and all them guys up there. They sponsor us, and he infused some vodka, raspberry vodka. It is delicious. I just wanted you to try it out. Too.
Let's go. All right. Cheers.
do this.
We got a,
Salud.
Salute.
That is smooth.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's the vodka from the 8th Wonder Distillery.
Damn.
Okay. I was thinking it was going to be more just a like a vodka with like fruit juice, but this is actually like a
No, this is
flavored.
infused. They actually put fruits in there.
Yeah, there's actually a little fruit in there. Like,
Yeah. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
Damn.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That,
All right.
that gets you all warm and toasty right
Let's
there.
go 8th Wonder.
Yeah, I didn't even know they were doing liquors or whatever out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
have
either.
the brewery, and then now they have the distillery.
Distillery.
Yeah.
8th Wonder Distillery. Damn.
All right.
Okay.
Super cool vibe too. When they got set up, it's like more like a lounge area and stuff like that. It's super cool.
I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Is like we go down there, and I go to Houston and I hang out and whatever else, but like it got kind of busy there, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to deal with like so many people and whatever else. I love going.
Yeah.
And every time I go, I'm like, man, why do I not come here more often? You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know.
Let me reach out. We'll go record down there.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll get some
Set it
VIP
up.
treatment.
I get you in contact with them.
Hell yeah. Let's
Yeah.
go. But listen,
I'm down.
yeah. So last year, Reserve Grand or Reserve Go Metro, whatever.
Grand champion. Yep.
Is that the best you've placed out here, Alex?
5th place overall. 2 top 10s on chicken and brisket.
There it is.
That's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we're gonna repeat again this year.
Hey, let's do this.
Let's go, man. So if you get to a certain level, are you automatically invited back next year?
If you win overall, you get invited over again.
Okay.
But I'll be in the champions row.
Champions row.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what we got to do. We got to get there. I mean, this is the party, right?
Yes.
Right. So, but let me ask you a question. Do you want to cook there, or do you would rather cook on this spot?
I want to cook over there.
Yeah, you do? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I got you. I
Right.
got you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday and today is like the party for me, and tomorrow's business.
It's all about the business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Today we got to pay the bills, right?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
tomorrow it's all. But everybody puts their game face on.
Entertain the sponsors.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
So this year's been a grind. I know the Go Metro just ended, right? As far as
Yes.
the season just ended. Talk to us about it. How was it? How do you think it went this year?
This year was tough. A lot more good teams showed up,
Yep.
and it was up to the last cook-off to who's going to be the top 5 spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Badass.
Yeah.
So
So unfortunately, I didn't make it, but I'll find a way to cook over here again next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got to win now. We got to
Yeah.
win over here.
Yes, sir.
There's always a way. Like we're cooking next weekend out at Austin Rodeo.
Okay.
So we're going to be there. So you win if you win it, you go to Champions Row.
Okay.
And you get to travel the circuit, So obviously, winning that one next weekend for us is
Yeah, I mean we'll be over there. We'll right next to you.
So
once we win.
hopefully we'll just say, hey, what's up, bud? Remember us?
I might make a road trip next week. Then.
But hey, come out there and cook. Come out there and cook. There's like 200 plus teams. I know last year,
That's it. 200.
Yeah, it's a little one.
Yeah,
a little
I think there was like
Actually, it's not next weekend. It's the weekend after.
no,
Make
it's
sure you
not.
show up
Oh,
right
yeah.
after.
Yeah, okay. Hey, don't listen to him. It's next weekend. But like Lucky Charms was out there, right? Texas Oil Dust was out there.
Bill Purvis.
Bill Purvis.
Yeah, I mean, like there was. I was quite. They had Champions Row there as well, right? I mean, I think Lucky Charms ended up getting the overall for that row,
champions, yeah.
and then he was going to compete in Washington, I think.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
so
something like that,
it's definitely it's just as that's not as big as this, right? But it's just as important, as far as winning to get into some of these others, right?
I ran into Bill Purvis with Chicken Fried Barbecue yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, can't wait to see you guys out there next week." He's like, "I think we're cooking right across from you guys." And he pulled up the map, and he literally is cooking right across from Austin Smokeworks, it's him, Lucky Charms, and all those guys. Just their championship row right there. I was like, dude, talk about the pressure. I mean, shit.
Well, yeah, for them. They got to cook across from us.
Right.
I feel bad for them. I really feel bad for these guys. They get to watch like this is greatness. They're watching like
Right.
this in awe.
Like how can these guys get so messed up and still kick ass? I
Right.
mean, it's just weird.
That's right.
is
They don't
true.
they don't know how our livers function. Right. Our kidneys are just filter,
Yeah.
right?
Mine's working double time.
Yeah, he's only
Yeah.
got one.
Well, I'm definitely going to be right there with some binoculars, so hopefully they keep all their stuff inside their their trailer because I'm going to be eagle-eyed and trying to see what they're using over there.
That's all right. Hey,
record their processes.
Yeah.
But this is I talk about it all the time. I joke, so I volunteered for the Houston Livestock Show.
Here we go.
It never ends.
These guys hate
It never ends. This is what he talks about, Alex. This is what the fuck he talks about all the time. This is every time we have a podcast, every time we get together and there's new people around, he has to go, well, I actually volunteer quite a bit. And I go, James, you handing out beer to already drunk people is not volunteering, right?
He said it last time. He brings joy to everybody.
You're ruining people's lives.
He's like
one
Santa Claus.
beer at a time.
He's
I
an
think
enabler.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we're going to make this like a drinking game. So every time I mention my volunteer work and people are listening to the podcast,
Take a drink.
They're going to take a drink.
Yeah, we got plenty of tequila too.
Yeah.
From Casa del Sol. Shout outs to Casa del Sol.
Yeah.
Nobody will make it through the podcast.
Right,
then.
call your Uber
So,
now.
last year we did a shot. Was it the Casa del Sol last year? What was that? What was that one? That was different.
I don't remember what it
It
was.
was a weird bottle, very unique. It was really cool.
I
Very
can't
good.
remember.
I
I
don't know.
slept a couple
This
of
one's
times.
the bomb, though.
Yeah.
I remember it.
I think it was
taking shot
it was
last
a
year.
big, long, skinny
but
bottle.
this is the new stuff. So they sponsored.
They're full sponsor us this
Let's
weekend.
go,
Love that,
man!
love that.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
what's-
so did Ace Wonder, full sponsor, all the liquor, all the vodka and whiskey. That's
Wow.
some good stuff.
Wow,
The
wow,
whiskey.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People don't realize, like, yeah, you're here. Like, you got to the show, but you still got to put a show on, right?
Yes,
and so,
yes.
and that's the thing. It's like the amount of money, the amount of time. Like, so I mean, obviously, you just came off of cooking the Go Metro circuit, right? And that, in my mind, is very rigorous because it's like one a month, but sometimes it cramps up. You can have multiple cooks in a month, which obviously you work.
In January, it's like back to back to back to back.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the whole time you still got to campaign. You're still campaigning in order to pay for because
Yeah.
you know you're cooking here, right? So you're still like trying to get money to come in so you can. Hey, I've got to put a show on. You know?
Right.
Obviously I got to win, but you still got to hire a DJ. You got to have the tent. You've got to have all the alcohol, the bathrooms. It all adds up, right?
And still worry about the competition.
And still with and you got to feed everybody. That's the other part. You got to have people
Yeah.
coming out and like. So
I
it
mean,
takes a team.
I
right?
wish I could take the credit, but I got a great team behind me. So
Yeah.
they do all the little stuff that I don't want to do. So
Right. Right.
Well, hey,
No.
they're not on here. You can take the credit.
They'll never hear this.
No, honestly.
no, they actually listen.
No, to be honest, it does take a team, right? So
Yeah.
it takes a team ready pulling together. It's not about stuff you don't want to do. It's not that it's like you don't want to do them. It's like you don't have time to do them.
No,
right?
I don't want to do it.
Right? It's, I don't want to do it. All right, so okay, we'll backtrack then.
I'm kidding.
But no, I mean, like, how much it goes in. So like, lead us up to this. Like last week, right? You're prepping last week. Y'all are still trying to finalize tents. You're trying to finalizing everything, or do you have everything already under control? You're like
We
tools and cucumber.
we start like 3-4 months before.
Yeah.
Like reserving tables, tents, decorations. Still looking for last minute sponsors. Raising money, taking donations for wristbands and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Even though we're like small production, it's still a lot of work.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So listen, if you're out there and you're listening in this radio land or whatever else, and you feel like giving back, and you're in the Houston area and you want to come out, check out Qston because you can volunteer some money, right? And you can monetize that, and then he'll turn around and give you wristbands, and you get to come to sponsor night, and you get to go through the whole gambit of this, right? You just got to sponsor some money. It's Qston. Let's go, man.
Yeah, we'll have some links
People's
in our
champ.
description.
That's right. The People's Choice Award goes to Qston. Like, let's blow these. We should do like a what do you call it? What's like the GoFundMe?
yeah.
Dude, have we done a GoFundMe?
Honestly, I've been embarrassed to do that stuff.
Hell no.
I mean,
Dude, people want to see people succeed, man. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Like $2. Like, okay, great.
yeah, maybe we'll do
20,000 people with $2 in. And you're like,
Right.
holy shit.
Well, you had that trend floating around on TikTok where people were putting their Venmo or their Cash App thing. It's like, well, if 50,000 people would just send me $1, then I can pay off my student loans or whatever, and then literally within an hour she gets like 50 grand.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did one of those. We actually got about $50 worth sent to us to buy beer.
Nice.
Are you serious?
John just
Fucking A. You just told us. Where's my beer at?
You're drinking it. You're drinking it.
That's beer.
That's my beer.
That's
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's
Son
Alex's
of a-
beer there.
Yeah, no, that's gas money to get to Austin, so don't worry about it.
yeah.
Just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Right, you worry about Jan stuff.
fucking.
So we've
this is what I'm talking about.
we've mentioned this Go Metro thing a few times. Do you want to kind of explain what the heck we're talking about? Like, what is that? What is that sanction? What does that have to do with here?
The Houston Metro committees, they have I don't know how many committees there. Honestly, they have. I know New Caney, Splendora, Pasadena, Casino City, Galena Park. Dude, I don't know how many they got, but Crosby, Baytown.
Yeah.
So each little area has a committee, and some of them promote a cook-off. And so when the points chasers, that's what they call it, to get a spot here, they accumulate points throughout the season, and the top 5 teams get a spot at Houston.
Okay. So yeah, you got to win. That's the way Houston is, right? You got to win to get in, right? Or
been around for 100
if you
years.
have a lot of money, and you can edge out somebody else that doesn't have quite as quite as much, you can buy your way in, I think, but there's still a waiting list, and that waiting list sometimes I've heard
years.
10 years. I've heard the words 15-year waiting list to
that's
get
what
in.
I've heard too.
So if that's the case, like, and you want to cook out here and you want to compete, then you better start competing on these other circuits that are around that get
Right.
you here, right? So the Go Metro is one way. Back in the day, the Pasadena cook-off, if you won the Pasadena back in the day, you got an automatic at Houston. If you win Austin, San Antonio, you win the San Antonio, you win the Austin, these larger cook-offs, then that's your entry to get into Champions Row.
Right.
But you gotta go out there and compete, right?
So the Go Metro one is like, you got to be dedicated because there's a bunch of cook-offs and you need to do most of them, right?
Yeah, I list 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like really good cooks. Like Bill Manning from Blue Jays Blue Smoke.
Yep.
He got a spot next year.
Yeah, second to none barbecue.
Second to none.
Chasing More Smoke.
Chasing More Smoke.
Smoke got in there.
Shout out to Chasing More.
That's right.
That's my boys.
Yep. And then I think where did they finish? They got second, third. What did they finish up at?
I think they got third.
I think they got third.
Third?
Yeah, Chasing More got third. Yeah.
Who won it?
Second to none.
Second to none
first
won
spot.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy,
Damn.
Carlos Reyes, he works for me at
Tubesco.
Tubesco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kicked ass.
Yeah.
You see him at work. You're like, you just give each other a nod.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
that's that barbecue nod. You're like,
Every Monday he
I
would
know
come
what
into
you
my
know.
office and just basically bust out the list and show where everybody was. And,
Yeah.
and each day or each weekend there was a competition. They were just shuffling back and forth, and you just had to. You couldn't miss a competition. Like if you missed a competition, then those because I think you get 3 points for just showing up.
Right.
Like and so, but everything was so tight down towards the end. It's just like if you miss one competition, that kind of puts you out.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
you've got to cook. You got to maintain, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Because every other, you have one good cook, and you'll move up.
yeah,
You
that's
know?
right.
It's just grilling. Like I see all y'all that I follow all y'all on social media. I'm like, damn, they're cooking every weekend. It seems like I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
that's tough.
And in between that, I was doing a couple of other, like IBCA and Lone Stars and CBA that I had GC the year before that I get invited, and they were like, for a while I was cooking every weekend, and that was super tiring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, talk about a little bit of
I'm
the.
worn out after like one weekend of like a big competition.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
by Thursday,
I
I'm already
get up
recharged.
at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
But then you get the calls like, okay, this is why.
This is why I do what I do. Don't mess with greatness.
What's the difference between? Talk about the difference between the actual cooking portion of the meat turn-ins for the Go Metro versus the ICBA or the Lone Star or the other ones.
The Go Metro are more monitored. They actually come and tag your meat before. Before we even start prepping anything, they put a tag, and then after that we can we can start prepping, cooking, and all that stuff. Marinating, whatever we got to do. And IBCA, they don't check any of that stuff, and CBA, they don't check none of that stuff. So, but on Go Metro, they monitor more, and then whenever they 15-20 minutes before the turn-in time, they come and inspect that tag, and some of them watch you actually slice from that chicken or ribs or brisket. Make sure you're like not using something else.
Else.
Right.
And they do the chicken just a little bit different, don't they, as well?
Yes. You have to cook it together. Like whatever you're gonna turn in the box, it has to be cooked at the same time. So most of the times we spatchcock them, and then we pick the prettiest part, of course. That's for presentation, and then we cut out some bite-sized pieces for the judges.
Are you juicing those bite-sized pieces? Are you taking the bite-sized pieces and are you like you do like a pulled chicken kind of deal, or you do a chopped?
Where's the tip jar at?
Hit up the
I love it.
cash
Hey,
app.
you know what?
You dip it in some brisket
Listen,
au jus.
if you want to learn the tips and tricks about what Qston does, you got to donate to the fund. That's what we're talking about. Let's be a sponsor of Qston, and then guess what? Maybe he unleashes some of these tips and tricks, right?
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
It's time to get paid now.
Yes,
I
sir.
hear you.
Yes, sir. You ever thought of doing a cooking class?
I've never done one. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've taken a couple of classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, expensive.
It's big
Yeah,
dollar.
exactly.
It's a lot of money out there.
So how do you feel about it? You've taken the classes. Did it elevate your game?
Yeah. They got their own style, and then you got your own style, and then you just pick and choose of whatever. You pick up like little tips here and there, and like, oh, I like this. So
Yeah.
I integrate it into my cooking style, but I don't use completely everything. A couple of like little techniques and seasonings that they use.
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
So you still got to make it your own. So
Right.
That's right, and I think it's human nature. Everybody wants to make it their own, anyways. And I think that people listening to this right now. Again, we are at the World Champion Rodeo Cook-Off barbecue.
Where James
cook-off.
volunteers.
Yeah, where James volunteers. Everybody take a drink.
Hey, it's a Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo
that's right.
World Championship BBQ Competition.
James, thank you, James.
Thank you.
That's what I was trying to say.
Trademark.
Yeah,
if I can give anybody, any new cooks, a little piece of advice, I know when I started, I just got lucky and started doing very well. But there's been some times where I didn't have any, no calls. So I would suggest take a class first.
yeah,
And,
that's right. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, exactly, and that would, keep you in contention, because there's a lot of great cooks out there right now, dude. It's like I talk to old timers, and they were talking about select briskets that they used to cook.
That's right.
They're like, oh, if you're a good cook, you can make any piece of meat good. Like, no bullshit, that's not true.
Hey, a
You can make it
select
better, but
is
you can
only
make
going
it
to be.
right.
It's only going to get as good as it can get.
That's
right?
like you guys used to do with these bar cook-offs, right?
That's right.
You'd go out there with a cheap piece of brisket, and
Well, back then
everybody was doing
But
it.
back then they didn't sell briskets that way, right?
Right.
You could go get a select, you could get a choice,
Right.
but you weren't like. I
Prime wasn't a deal.
I didn't
Wasn't a
see
big deal.
prime brisket. I never saw prime when I
Never
first
was-
started.
never
this.
was labeled.
I was just sitting there like, all right, you had two. Like, this was so much a pound. This was so much a pound. You said, okay,
The
this looks
cheapest.
good. I'll take two of these, and we went and cooked 2 briskets. You know, that was
generally it's like you look at it and you want to like you have certain, I guess, measurables that you look for in a brisket.
Yeah.
Definitely the fat striations. Does it, even though it's not even marked, or if it's marked select or whatever, but you look for those little fat striations and the thickness of the flat and all that stuff like that, and that's what you kind of gauge it off of. You never really looked at the back. You're just like, it's brisket. It says brisket. That's it.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Some of them was like, hey, you ever done the old bend the brisket, fold it over on top
Hold
of
it like a
itself?
taco.
Hey,
You know?
that used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about that.
Some people still think it's a thing.
Yeah, it may be. It may be a thing.
I think
Who
they're still
knows?
frozen before they even get to the.
I know they are.
Exactly.
Everybody thinks like, your meat was frozen before
Yeah.
when it came in. All meat has been frozen. Let's just be honest, right?
Look for the most marbling and fattest brisket I can find.
That's it. That's it, right?
That's a tip, by the way.
That is a pro tip.
Pro tip.
I'm going to give one more out. I'm going to give one more pro tip out because I don't think I let people talk about this. is really looking about how you trim your brisket down. And I think a lot of people don't trim their briskets down far enough, right? And I think that it hinders in the way it cooks.
For competition,
right?
Oh,
For a comp cook, at home cook, I'm probably gonna cook the whole damn thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not fucking with it that much. But for a comp cook, you want to be able to slice the entire thing from front to back, almost, and go, hey, this is all the sweet spot right here, right? That's what you're cooking. You're cooking the sweet spot. So, and these things they shrink down. But I think a pro tip is so first pro tip, go freaking take a class. You want to be the best, go take a class, right? Number 2, learn how to trim these things down. Learn how to trim these things down in a way. Now, I've seen people do well with not trimming their briskets down or whatever else. I'm just saying, consistent cook from front to back on a brisket. You need to trim these things down to where they can cook the way it needs to. And then yours was, what did you say a second ago?
Fuck, I forgot.
Damn, I did too, man.
I said take another shot.
I gotta
Shot.
quit taking these shots.
Tequila.
I gotta quit taking these shots, man.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your setup, your rigs. What you cook on? What's in your arsenal? What do you utilize?
I cook on a pitmaker vault. That's where I cook my brisket on and ribs, and the chicken I cook it on a Rectech bullseye.
Badass.
Yeah.
Badass. On the vault side, you're still doing hot and fast.
Hot and fast, bro.
That's good. Right?
I like my sleep.
That's what I'm saying. We're not trying to mess with this thing, right? Hot and fast. Myron Mixon's a hot and fast kind of guy, anyways.
Yeah.
He's talked about that for years. We historically have been a hot and fast cooks. I think probably most of our competition cooks have been a hot and fast.
Mm-hmm.
The method, it's not the Moberg, maybe it's the Moberg, but the method I've seen is like, have you seen this where you run your pit like at 400 degrees?
Like the Jambos?
No,
the Jambos,
I don't
right?
run it. I don't run it that hot.
For 1 hour, and then you pull it and reduce it down to like 275. Have you seen that method?
No.
I think
it's super weird, but
the
I've
thought
seen
set
these
is
things.
for it to plump up.
They plump.
It makes the brisket swell up.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah.
It does. It looks like it just swells up. And you're like, Jesus, dude.
And then you just back it off, right?
Yeah, but you back it off. But what I worry about when it does that, it doesn't give enough time for it to. The meat doesn't render the same way.
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about. Is like you're cooking it way too fast, and you're not rendering. So when you go to slice it, you still have this fibrous, tough kind of meat. The meat still needs time to render down, right? And that's why the rest period's so important and everything else. But but you're still, so you say hot and fast. What is your hot temperature? What do you think?
300, 350.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we say hot and fast, but it's like, you still take time with it, baby it.
Yeah. I've seen the guys from Pitmaker pour a bottle of wine down in that trough.
On that tray on the bottom?
Yeah. I've seen that. I'm like, dude, is that...
When I first started, I used to add water and, juices and all this other stuff. Now I don't do none of that stuff. The thing is very efficient.
It is. They run all day, right?
Yeah, I use Prime 6 charcoal.
Yeah.
Shout outs. Those are my sponsors too.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what's her name? What's the charcoal's name?
Prime 6.
Prime 6. Prime 6 charcoal. I haven't seen them.
They do like the little log things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
they were
yeah.
on Shark Tank. They came out from Shark Tank. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't tried those, but I've seen them a lot.
Miss Franco, she's super cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very cool. Those are energy efficient, right? They just burn longer.
I literally use one basket of those chimneys, and it'll last me the whole comp cook. That's just comp cook, and a couple of chunks of wood.
Yeah.
It'll run like it runs like a champ at 300, 325. If I want to run it hotter, I just add a couple of little pieces and
let it go. Badass.
Yeah, just tips and secrets just all across the board.
This is what I'm talking about.
If you're not right now listening into you're probably like going to work right now in your car just driving. It's like, if you're not writing down that charcoal name, what was it again? Prime 6?
Prime 6.
While you're driving?
While you're driving, just pull over.
Drink a beer, write this down on the way to work.
Okay.
Get your life together. But we're not giving you any more tips and tricks until somebody starts subscribing to to Qston's freaking, give me a Venmo. We got a Venmo number out here?
No,
I'm just kidding. Next time, we'll do a cash app. We'll do something, man.
Just go check him out on his social media. We'll
Yes.
have all those links down
We're
in the
doing.
description.
We're gonna do some freaking GoFundMe's as well, right?
Yeah.
Let's blow these guys up.
Sorry about that.
No,
You're good.
Hey,
You're good.
hey, you're directing traffic over here. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're the boss.
And we got to turn in Chef's Choice in a minute. So
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about what you're doing. Do you want to share that, or are we keeping that a secret?
what's that?
What's your chef choice and Dutch oven?
Oh, the Chef's Choice is
I mean, this
lamb.
won't go out until next week.
It's lamb on a bed of like mashed potatoes and with some glaze. I don't know. My buddy's doing all that.
Yeah.
Badass.
Sounds amazing.
Badass. Yeah, there's sous vide lamb.
Oh yeah,
over,
that was so good.
Yeah, over, and they're going to char grill it, and then over a bed of mashed potatoes and a secret sauce.
Hubba hubba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
amazing.
phenomenal.
I must be hungry.
Sounds phenomenal.
Did you just break out a hubba?
Hubba hubba.
Yeah, my buddy Chris, he gets down on the grill. He's the one that cooked 150 plus steaks last night for the sponsors night.
Oh,
Damn.
Jesus.
Every single one of them was sous vide, and they were select. I know, but that's
Yeah.
all I could find at Restaurant Depot. But they
How
were
were
still
they?
falling apart, man. They were great.
Sounds
Beautiful.
amazing.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, so today is you're prepping. I'm prepping, but today is the ancillary, right? You're doing the chef's choice. You're doing the dessert,
The children, yeah.
and then tomorrow morning.
that's the grind. That's tomorrow. We're gonna do the brisket, chicken, and ribs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of similar to what I'm used to on, like IVCA and regular Go Metro
Yeah.
times. So it shouldn't be too different. Believe it or not, when they're like 30, 40 minutes difference, it fucks with me because, I'm a creature of habit. I'm already got my routine and stuff. So
you have
Yeah.
timetables.
I literally gotta like, okay, this, 15 minutes, stuff like that.
Start setting some alarms on your phone.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I got a
The
buddy
whiteboard.
that's
I'm big on
my
alarms on
actual,
my phone.
my clock. He's always shouting. He's military, so he's always 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Okay.
Okay. Quit Taylor, you're freaking me out. Yeah, the whiteboard. The whiteboard thing's always a good thing, just so you
I
can
don't use
glance
the
at it.
whiteboard. I use my buddy. He keeps trying.
No. I hear you. We do that method too, but there's always one of us that fucks it up. Like one year, I had my times off because we didn't have the board out, and I was like, chicken's done and chicken's be done in by so and so, and it was like, okay, great. So we start cooking chicken. Fuck, dude, we had like an hour left before so we got ready to turn in like at 10 o'clock in the morning. Chicken wasn't due until 11 o'clock in the morning. I was like, boom, back in the Cambro it goes.
Luckily, I never done that.
Yeah,
but,
I did that. That's my fault.
Maybe you should get one of my guys too.
Yeah, I should get one of your dudes.
Just start screaming times
Hey.
I choose.
Yeah. Shit.
Can we borrow your Chris?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, you're with us now. You're going to Austin. Hey, so listen, I don't know if it's too late is it too late to sign up for Austin Rodeo?
I don't know.
I think it is. I think there's a cutoff date. Or
You still come hang out with us.
You
Yeah.
can't come hang out with us if you want to come out.
Yeah.
We're cooking with the Austin Smokeworks.
But I know you have to grab it from the grips, guys. I know y'all know people, man.
Oh yeah, we
Get
can
me
get
in
you
there. Get
Come
me
on.
in there.
We can get you in. Let's go. We'll call somebody.
Cool.
Nah, that's cool.
Alex, hey, definitely 100% appreciate you coming onto the podcast. Thank you for hosting this extravaganza here that we put on. Just to let you know that Alex allows us to come in here and set up our podcast equipment, and we have some of the other guests that come in to do interviews, and he's graciously let us come up and just take
we're
over
also-
his time and just
We're also his lucky charm.
that is true.
He doesn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well-
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I'm a creature of habit, so whatever I do that
You gotta
works,
repeat.
I have to repeat.
We got to do it.
Definitely.
We have to do it.
He's like, I gotta have these assholes
Yeah.
back again. God
Yeah,
damn.
you know.
All right, so
Before we close out,
we have something in front of us. Are we going to do this?
Yes, we are.
Let's do this. All right, let me pass this out real quick. 1 second.
and so while Jan distributes the tequila,
spirits.
the spirits, let us know where people can get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you, sponsorship wise, or social media wise. They want to follow you and see what you're up to next. Go ahead and
Yeah, plug that.
I don't know my Venmo stuff, but my Instagram tag is Qston _Q_STON BBQ 913.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit of my personal stuff and a lot of barbecue stuff.
Yeah.
You know, pretty boring stuff.
We'll put some links down in the description, so if you don't remember that, just scroll down later.
Before we take this drink, last year you gave a toast, and I remembered it. I don't remember the words, but it was in, out. It's
Okay,
it's
yeah,
Spanish, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that, hey, I'm a creature of habit too, right?
Okay.
So let's give the toast.
All right. Okay. First of all, shout outs to Casa del Sol Tequila. We got some of this añejo right here.
Ooh, yeah.
Sponsor, okay, it's pa arriba, pa abajo, pa el centro, y pa dentro.
Let's go. Ooh, delicious.
That's smooth.
Damn, that's good.
That is smooth.
That's good.
Holy
That's
shit.
the añejo tequila from Casa del Sol.
Yeah.
It's got like a vanilla note or
It does.
something. Yeah.
It's
It
a
does.
vanilla note.
At
It's,
the end,
it's a
yeah.
very smooth tequila. Get a bottle of that stuff. Wow.
Hold that bottle up, Jan.
Yeah, I can have that.
That would end in a very bad night, us walking around with that.
Yeah. That is badass.
All right, brother.
Wow.
All right. Well, Alex, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
No doubt, no doubt. Let me give a shout out to my sponsors: Body Armor, Casa del Sol, Eighth Wonder Distillery. Thanks for everybody for sponsoring this weekend, guys. You know, I wish I could take the credit, but you know, my whole team helps me out. You know,
Yeah.
and makes this madness happen. You know.
Well, I'm telling you right now, man, I am pulling for you. You are my team out here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm laid out there. If somebody else asks me, I'm gonna say no. I'm rooting for Qston.
100%.
So I'm telling you right now, dude. Like I got faith in you, and you're gonna fucking rock this motherfucker. All right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking go. You guys.
That's what we're here for. You know.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, sir.
Once again, this is Alex Castro with Qston BBQ, People's Champ.
Let's go.
Peace.
Let's go.
Love it.
All right, we're still out here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Barbecue Championship Competition. All the other words they use to describe this place, James is probably correcting me in his head right now. We are joined by Kaiden Blake, and this dude's been running the country,
right.
cooking everywhere, doing the MBBQA, all these things. Thanks for joining us, Kaiden.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you've got a following, right? And how old are you?
I'm 14 now.
14 years old. You started this at what age?
I think 12.
12 years old, right? So 2 years in the game.
Amazing.
He has traveled all over the country. And this goes to tell you, like, if the only person holding you back in life is yourself, right? Because this kid in 2 years has traveled the entire United States, and he's been running the gauntlet. He's been competing against some of the best cooks, you know, in this nation, right? How did you get started in this, bud?
So I couldn't do sports anymore. I still have a medical problem going on, and they said I couldn't do sports anymore. I started watching Tuffy Stone and Peg Leg Porker on TV.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up actually having dinner with both of them this past week.
Nice.
That was pretty cool.
Amazing.
And so
Dropping names.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Name dropper over here. Okay.
So after that, I just got a Blackstone, and I started cooking on one of them. And then I ended up getting a drum smoker after seeing my very first competition.
Okay.
And it's just taken off from there.
Badass. So what's last 2 years, right? You've been all over the place. We saw you at the Royal, right? We were there in Kansas City. But what are some of those memorable things or accomplishments you've been able to have the last couple of years?
My number one is definitely going up on stage with Tuffy at Memphis.
Okay.
When we got second. That was pretty cool.
Badass.
And then y'all don't know this one. It's a competition in Ruleville, Mississippi. I was cooking with Hog Addiction.
Okay.
And I did half the hog, and Marcio from Hog Addiction did the other half. And we ended up getting second on our box, and I chose what to put in there. And we ended up getting grand champion overall.
Let's go.
So
that's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that's amazing. I ain't going to tell you what I was doing at 14 years old.
Right. Right.
And then, my second ever competition, I ended up getting a GC.
Okay.
And then my first ever, I got fourth in chicken out of, I think, 30 teams on a KCBS, so that was pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah, it goes to show right there. Like again, like you got to get out there and do it. Like it's just there's never a right time. Now is the right time, right? Just get out there and start competing. Get out there, buy a smoker. Get out and if you want to do this, great. Go to a competition, see how it's done. I'm sure you did a lot of research before you got your first one, right?
Oh yeah,
right. And
I just watched a bunch of YouTube.
That's it. I love YouTube, man. That's what it does. So you've been traveling now this year, and recently now, as you said, you were in Oklahoma to Florida, and then you've been back to Texas. And what's your next stop from here?
Then I'm going back home finally.
Yeah. Nice.
And then we're heading to the Worlds down in Fort Worth for SCA.
That's amazing. So how was it down there at the MBBQA?
That was pretty dang cool.
Was it?
It was cool to see like the business side of barbecue rather than just the competitions or the fun.
Yeah.
I could not say that better myself.
Yeah.
That's
you
what
get to
it
rub
is.
elbows with some amazing people down there.
If you're wanting to network, if you're wanting to really, if you're coming out with a spice, you're coming out with sauce, if you're coming out with anything, it doesn't matter. If you're just wanting to network with people that have this stuff already in place, you should be going to the MBBQA. Kel Phelps and those people, they are, first of all, the amount of money that comes into this, the amount of tension that comes into this, that amount of networking. People are making deals at these conferences, and it's bettering their companies. You know what I mean? And they're reaching out in different areas and whatever else. So, honestly, yes, that's probably the biggest thing.
I'm so bummed we missed it.
I know,
honestly.
I am too.
I am too.
So much fun.
We just didn't do enough fundraising, and that's really what stopped us from getting there. And it came down to points like, man, we just don't have the funds to do and Austin Rodeo, right?
Next year,
so
we just had
to
Caden and his mom swing by the house, pick us up, we
Pick
ride
us
with
up.
them. Wherever it is, doesn't matter.
We got a minivan.
Let's
There it
go.
is, I'm telling you.
Let's go.
Because the MBBQA, like, they're the nicest people.
Oh,
like,
they are. Yeah.
Kel and Janet and all them.
Yeah, but
They're so nice.
can you imagine, like, if that's, well, I'm gonna regress right now. That's fine. I was gonna go off with something, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna hold that one back. Yeah.
So you were cooking this morning, you mentioned. Tell us about that. What's up with that?
So I did one of the biggest kids' queues here. The biggest one was at the Royal, and I did a ribeye steak. I had a pretty good steak. I was happy with it. I got some good lines on it, and then I did like a chopped shrimp stir fry, I guess you could call it. Leaving out the vegetables.
Yeah.
And
As you should.
so I just gave him shrimp, and I'm ready to see what I got.
There it is. Good luck, brother. It sounds
Thank you.
delicious.
It was pretty good.
Was it like, did you do the shrimp and did you do it like in a au jus? Did you add any sauce to it? Did you add?
So I'm not sure exactly what sauce it was.
Okay.
But Matt from War Pig over there, he was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, try this sauce."
Hit this out.
So I just grilled up the shrimp, chopped it nice and fine, and then tossed it in the sauce.
There it is.
Love that.
Take notes.
Right.
If you're driving down the road, start taking notes right now. Don't press pause. Don't go back and listen to this. Take notes now. I love it.
So is this your first time here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Barbecue?
Yeah, this is pretty big.
So what do you
too.
think about this? Because you were at Kansas City, right? And you saw.
Oakland.
I'm sorry, but you went. You were.
He went to the Royal.
You went to the Royal,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you saw how big that was, right?
Yeah.
How does this compare to that?
It's like if you took Memphis and May and the Royal and just clashed them.
Put them together, right? And
It's-
this is what this looks like, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And this thing starts Wednesday, but the amount of people that show up tonight, I don't know if you're ready for that.
Right.
It's astronomical. Like you can't get through. Like when you're walking, there's just there's hundreds of thousands of people just running through here. Not running, just walking through here, meandering through, and they're all going into booths. And you're like, well, let's find all the. No. Cars are just lined up for miles trying to get into this place, right? It'll happen that way all night and all day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they said on like good weather days for the barbecue here at Houston, we're talking hundreds of thousands of people that are going to funnel through here.
And I noticed at Kansas, on the Saturday, it kind of just dwindled down a little bit, right? No, it's going to ramp up. It's going to be even more people, right? And you got to imagine there's 7.5 million people that live here in the surrounding areas of Houston, right? So Kansas City, it's hard for Kansas City to compete with that because they don't have the people, right? Everybody has to everybody has to funnel in, right, and drive there, but not here.
Yeah.
They just live here.
Look,
Right?
think about it. Texans, they love beer and they love barbecue.
Yeah,
so
we
you
do.
put those together,
We do.
they're gonna show up.
Yeah,
Especially if it's a nice day.
especially like this type of atmosphere, because everybody's got a booth, right? And some of these booths are so intricate.
Speaking of the booths, I was talking to Dennis, and he was saying that somebody paid about $700,000
Yeah,
to put a booth together.
that's right.
Holy moly!
It might be one that a buddy of mine sent me a video of, like the floor.
Light up floors.
It's
had light up floors. They had a laser show going. I'm like,
it's
wow.
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Almost
here.
$1 million for one booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get yourself a ticket, it's only like, I don't know, 150,000 to get a
10,000?
ticket. Yeah, it's
Right.
fine.
It's 10 grand.
Well,
Get yourself an armband.
Last night, I think Cotton is the sponsorship of the over the whole competition, and they had Cole Swindell that was playing in their tent last night.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy's a major
He's
music
won
artist.
a freaking Grammy. And
Won
he's-
Grammys, and he's playing in a tent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
I mean, that's what you get for $700,000.
Right.
Maybe it is.
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly.
Listen, but some teams spend for the party, and some teams spend for the cook.
They're here to
right?
cook.
That's the difference. And you see, and you'll see the great parties. You'll see a lot of these big teams or big booths. They'll go and hire a comp team to come in and cook just for them, only for competition. That's it. And they're there only to cook comp, and they're there to have fun and whatever else. But they're just there for the comp only. And then other teams like what we're in Qston right here is they're putting on a party atmosphere and whatever else. But at the same time, that's their concentration over there.
Right, that's
Somebody
their
else is
focus.
going to manage this portion
Yeah.
for them, and they're going to concentrate just on cooking. They don't care about like who got some burn ins and who got inside the booth this today. I mean, obviously
Right.
they want everybody to be happy, but it's like we're here to win. You know? We're not
They
here
got
to.
5th overall, I think, last year.
That's right, 5th
Yeah.
overall.
I haven't seen one team not use a Wagyu brisket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
got
think-
two
No,
out there, right?
everybody's using.
If you're not
it-
using it, you're not going to win.
If you know barbecue, you know Wagyu is really expensive.
Mhm.
And these guys got those big ones too. Like
yeah.
I seen one guy have about a 17-pound brisket.
that's $250 brisket
Yep.
Wow.
each one.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for one brisket.
So,
So-
do you have a favorite thing that you like to cook?
Brisket.
Brisket?
Everybody says brisket,
Nice.
right?
Yeah, what are you cooking on at home?
I got a Lone Star offset grill, and then I also use my Hunsaker drum smokers.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, so you competed today. You got any more competition you're going to be doing out here?
Not out here unless somebody asks me to help them.
Okay. And so, and then when you go back home, rest, relax, recoup, and then what's next?
Then Fort Worth for SCA Worlds.
That's right.
And
Right.
then in between there, probably a SCA competition.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, that's something I think that we all look at doing. I've never cooked an SCA before. I'm not scared of it at
We
all,
need to.
and
We need to.
I've done the practice SCA cooks. I'm pretty proficient in how I want everything to look and whatever else. And then when we're in Kansas, we got to try like as many as we could
A lot.
of all the different steak that people had turned in that night. So I have a flavor profile already kind of in my head that was up there, which is some of these that were very similar to something that I'm already kind of doing already. But do you have any tips and tricks for your steak that you put out there?
So main thing is, I'm gonna give a shout out to a sponsor here.
Let's
Go
Go
ahead.
for it.
Absolutely.
Wicked
absolutely.
Pig.
Name dropping over here. I
Yeah.
love this kid.
Wicked Pig, Matt Overson. Use that for your marinade. And then Boar's Night Out,
Got to go with Boys Night Out.
Cosmos. Gotta stick with those two.
Yeah.
And
You like their beef rub or you like their chicken rub?
see now, me, I'm there for the White Lightning.
Okay.
Oh.
For Cosmos.
Yes.
Oh, for Cosmos, I like his Chipotle Honey Killer Bee.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the board's
That
night,
is
you
a-
got to ride the lightning.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have that in your barbecue arsenal tool,
Yeah.
tool belt, I mean, you're not winning.
You're not gonna.
What are you even doing?
Yeah.
That double garlic butter.
Yeah.
That's
It's
so
killer,
good.
isn't it?
It's good on basically anything you can think of.
Yeah.
God dang it, I'm hungry.
Totally agree. I know. Way to go.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right, brother. Hey,
Alex just slid me. I'm sure the viewers saw this if they were watching on YouTube. One of his lamb chops we were talking about a minute ago for his chef's choice. Holy shit, that was amazing. I'm just gonna put that out there real quick.
It was pretty good. I took one small bite, and I thought you were going to pass it back.
You cleaned it?
You just
Yeah,
finished
I actually ate the bones. So
John just cleaned the whole
it's good.
You know, I
Y'all
like
want to smell it?
I like lamb too.
Yeah.
Just tossing that out there.
Yeah,
I know.
Sorry, man.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe just
I
wave
don't-
your hand next time. I'll
Yeah.
pass it over.
Right.
Probably
So
won't.
rude. So rude.
Hey. Well, I know you're a busy person today. Thank you for coming out and just shooting the shit with us for a little
Yeah.
bit and
Oh,
talking
yeah.
a little barbecue.
Getting on the Grabbing the Brisket podcast.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
also, hey, you've listened to the podcast before.
Yeah,
What do you think of it, honestly?
I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun to listen to. It's not just like sitting there and one person just talking nice and
Monotone,
boring.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
different.
Sometimes we do. So I don't know if you've noticed. Sometimes some of the podcasts we can get a little inebriated. Have you noticed that?
Little bit, not too much.
It's
though.
always James.
It's never me. It's never me.
It's always him.
Yeah, it's
There's
always
always
Jan.
the guy.
Right.
To
So,
be honest here.
just saying.
Hey, why don't you give us some plugs? Tell us where the people can find you on your
That's
social
right.
medias and whatnot.
So on Instagram, KBs Outdoor Kitchen, same on Facebook, and then on TikTok, it's Food Over Hate. There's a story behind that one.
Yeah, come on.
Let's hear it.
My account got reported about 8 times, and the last time that it got reported, I had only had the account for probably 3 days, and I had quite a few thousand followers already, and they took it down because minor safety, because I was cooking with a knife.
Oh, good lord.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I was filming in a car one time, and I wasn't even driving. They reported our account and basically shut us down for like
A week or something like that?
something so dumb. They're like, dude, I'm not even driving. I'm in the back seat. I mean, I was drinking a beer, but I was in the back seat of the
Okay.
car.
All
It's not
right.
a big deal. I'm just saying, drinking and driving, whatever. Don't
It's
do
horrible.
it.
Hey,
Don't
we're
do
gonna have links for all this stuff too, so y'all just scroll down and you'll find where to find Kaiden.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Kaiden, we appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see you on the barbecue trail here shortly.
Definitely.
100%. I'm ready to put a heat against you now.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Dang it, Bobby. Just grab the brisket. We'd like to give a special thanks to Sucklebuster's Barbecue Rubs and Sauces, Bonner's Fiesta Spices, Cooley Nation Custom Koozies, Cambro Manufacturing, Yeti Coolers, the Smoke Sheep Barbecue Newsletter, and Dow Strong Knives. We definitely appreciate your support.